As the year draws to a close, I don't know about you, but I definitely start to feel not just nostalgic, but also, well, very nostalgic, but also very reflective of the year, celebrating the wins, reflecting on the not so brilliant, shiny times, and just really thinking about all that's been experienced and all that's been learned over the year. One of my absolute wins of the year is connecting with a person who celebrates the little wins. First and foremost, this episode comes with a massive, massive trigger warning. We cover some really, really heavy stuff, but because we're so similar, we also have a hell of a lot of laughs along the way as well. But please have a read of the description, please, before listening on, because this one really does hit some very serious subject matter. In the show notes, you will also find a link to resources for support. There are all sorts of support links in that one place that cover the hard-hitting stuff that we cover in this episode and more. So if you are struggling, please reach out for help, because there is support out there and you are not alone. I hope you enjoy listening as much as I enjoyed recording this very special episode with a very special person who is absolutely one of the massive wins of 2025 for me. This person has not only started their own incredible platform that they've invited me on, they have championed all things ADHD AF. They do it in the episode as well. They have such integrity, always practice what they preach, a heart of gold, a cackle like a witch, a dirty old hun just like me, and I love the bones of them. And I feel so incredibly grateful that this person has come not just into this community but into my life. This person has encouraged me out of not hiding, but as you will know, long-term listeners, I haven't done a proper episode since my mum passed. So this episode, we revisit an old format. So this is both a proper old school ADHD AF interview and a massive bloody chinwag. And I will tell you, we spoke for an hour after we stopped recording too. We've literally only just hung up on each other and we started recording 3 hours ago. So as I say, they have literally championed the charity every step of the way. So I'm just so incredibly grateful and I'm so excited to share this episode with you. And if you are based in Scotland, England, or soon to be Wales, please do head to the show notes to find out all of the information about ADHDF plus charities, local, in-person, free peer support groups to connect and empower ADHD adults of marginalised genders. We have monthly groups all over the place and even more starting in the new year. And if we don't have a peer support group in your local area yet, why not apply to volunteer to start your own? Because we are all about empowering our facilitators as much as our attendees. And strap yourselves in for this intense interview, incredible chinwag with this absolute legend. Hi, I'm Laura and I am ADHD AF. Though blatantly obvious, the late discovery, diagnosis and treatment at 38 for severe combined type ADHD in 2022 not only improved but genuinely saved my life, which I have since dedicated to fighting for change amidst the global ADHD crisis. As the acronym suggests, I swear like a sailor, and each episode will contain sensitive subject matter, so please always read the description before diving in, where you will also find a link to resources for support. These crucial conversations with experts by lived experience are shared to inform, validate, shame eradicate, and unite the ADHD community, with a fair few laughs along the way. I've been labelled too much all my life, but finally I celebrate my too muchness and use my justice sensitivity to let the world know that ADHD presents differently in each individual. Self-diagnosis is valid and that ADHD is not a trend. ADHD is real. And I want all ADHDers of all genders to know you are not alone. The leopard is a symbol of Aberdeen, Scotland, where this podcast began. It also symbolises bravery, the reclaiming of power, and I'm a total hun. So leopard print has become the uniform of the ADHD AF community, uniting to support each other and push for change, which together we can make happen. We are the leopard print army. Hear us roar. Name.
Jon Hill.
Pronouns.
They, them. I'm one of those people.
One of them. Literally.
I am literally one of them.
Location.
Reading.
Occupation.
Hairdresser trade. Podcaster and awareness raiser by nature.
Incredible podcaster. Favourite film? And you can have about 10 because I do.
Oh my God. So, Labyrinth, Dark Crystal. All of the Alien films. Oh my God. Nightmare Before Christmas. Neverending Story. Star Wars. The Terminator movies. And specifically Jurassic World Dominion.
Which one's that one? Is that the latest one?
The one that no one liked. It's the third one, though. Oh, I love it. Giant angry mosquitoes. Why do I get a kick off that? That's one of my like comfort films that we can put on again and again and again. Why?
Is it? Okay, I'm going to watch it again tonight. I went to see the original Jurassic Park a ridiculous amount of times at the cinema. I'm very much into dinosaurs as well. We digress. Favourite animal?
My cats.
Oh. What city in the world are you most like?
First of all, I wanted to be like Brighton because it's my favourite city and I fucking love it there and it makes me feel at home and whatever, and you can kind of like disappear into the background, but you can make yourself a little bit more out there if you want to. And then I figured that actually it wasn't a city that I felt like I was most like. There's a country I feel like I'm most like. Instead, purely because it's one that Liam and I really want to go to and we're really drawn to it, and it's purely because of how it makes us feel, and it's Japan, and it's because it is that mixture of hyper busy and everything happening and futuristic and lights and everything, and then you've also got calm and gentle and traditional, and yeah, and that goes with my brain, it goes with ADHD, it goes with the autism.
I love that. That's an amazing answer. And what's your sign?
I'm Leo.
Are you? Oh, wow. Okay.
I feel like I'm a really stereotypical Leo as well.
Well, I'm a very stereotypical Gemini. The dark and the light all at once.
Weirdly, my 3 longest relationships, other than Leo and one other person, have been with Geminis.
Do you know, I don't actually know that many Leos. My life seems to be completely, absolutely bursting with Scorpios, always.
Cat's a Scorpio.
There she is. I was at Cat Brown's house yesterday for coffee. We had a lovely old time.
I know, I saw with Sybil. I love Cat Brown so much.
She's a very special person. ADHD diagnosis status.
Oh my God, 3.5 really long years into waiting for it. However, and gone through all sorts of imposter syndrome and all that kind of bullshit, and then got onto the Right to Choose. And my waiting list for Right to Choose was 8 to 12 weeks. 12 weeks is up this Saturday.
Goodness.
So I feel like I'm now on the cusp, and it's the weirdest place to be in, because even though I have gone through so many forms and filled in, which appear to be all the same form, but just with more and more horrific detail about the things that I hate about myself, and then everything that I hate about myself that Liam's backing up and saying, yeah, you do that, it is shit. I still get worried that I'm going to then speak to this one person who's going to go, no, you are just shit.
I diagnose you as shit person.
What do you do with that? Like, Jesus Christ, am I just a bit weird? So I'll find out soon. I mean, I've scored 100% in all my tests so far, so.
Well done, well done. With the autism side, that is a separate assessment altogether. Are you on a waiting list for that as well?
No, because I can't cope with that yet, and I'm keen to do it. And actually, when I talked to Sam from the ADHD adults, when I spoke to her about it, my thing with going for the ADHD diagnosis was you can medicate. So it's like you can gain something from that. And I didn't understand what I could gain from getting an autism diagnosis. But the longer I've been in this horrific waiting list, and the more I've learned about myself and about ADHD and autism, the more I've realized how validating it is to have the confirmation. For me, not for everyone. Everyone is different. And I respect so much people that don't need it and have got that faith in themselves where they can go, no, this is who I am and that's cool. I think mainly because the way I've been raised that I'm not that person, and I do need to have that one person who is qualified who can say to me, you're right, this is you, and you do have limitations in X, Y, and Z, and this is why.
That's so interesting. There are people that have really struggled, and we're looking for those answers and we're looking for that support later in life. And there are people that are just like, oh yeah, that's me, and that's brought me this or that. But that's, I envy those people.
I do, but then I also feel like you and I have talked about it before so much about how it presents so differently in everybody and how we are, the rulers of RSD land. I often think maybe those people don't have perhaps the levels of RSD that we get.
Yeah, or perhaps they are masking some of their struggles even from themselves, or perhaps they will have periods of struggle that they haven't reached yet or just didn't attribute to the condition. Because I always think that's so interesting, when you sort of look over there and go, well, it's all right for that person, or I've got it worse than them. And actually, really, I think bottom line for me is if anybody says they have ADHD, then whatever they look like, whatever they're doing, it should be a given that they're really struggling on a daily basis with something, at least. You know what I mean?
The superpower thing, it does my fucking head in. It's not a superpower. And I make the point of saying to people when they ask about it is I'm not going for a diagnosis because I'm creative and I've done really well. That isn't the fucking thing.
I diagnose you quirky.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, because I've got a really colourful house. I wonder why. I'll find out. No, of course it's fucking not. It's because I couldn't fill in my driving license for 8 years because I still haven't got divorced from my wonderful but very much ex, and that was about the same amount of time, it's that kind of thing. That's why, it's not a superpower.
If you are listening and you think it is your superpower, I'm very, very happy for you. And I think that it is a brilliant analogy, I think, to explain to children.
That's the difference though, isn't it? Because it's late diagnosed and then diagnosed from childhood, I think makes a huge difference with stuff like that. So I think for me, not a superpower because of, and maybe for you as well, maybe, I guess, because of what we've been through in life, because of not knowing. Whereas I feel like maybe if you get in there early and you can be like, but look what you can do, you can maybe build up the superpower situation. I don't know. Haven't lived it.
100%. Why do you think it was missed in you until later in life?
Because of the they-them situation, I feel. Mine present more traditionally female. I think upbringing was very much, it is not acceptable behavior, so you just don't. So masking happened from a super early age. Look at my mum, and I feel like she was definitely there as well with both ADHD and autism. We've got she's not here anymore, but we shared a huge amount of traits, only knowing now. And of course for her, she was a totally different generation. She'd now be like 90 something. So there was no way she would have been allowed to be that, as a woman back then. And she was, a working mother. She was a teacher. She had a husband. She had to make the house good. She had to prepare food for the family. She had, you just weren't allowed to do that. So, and if you were meant to be having socially expected things like dinner parties and stuff, she couldn't cope with that. She used to hate it, but she would do it. And I think because she could suck it up and get on with it, she then gave birth to this, and was like, you need to fucking suck it up and get on with it too.
Oh, I'd relate there. I very much feel exactly the same. My mum was very much a suck it up and get on with it, and I've had to get on with it. So should you. This is just how it is.
But then what does, look at what we both do now. Like, that's a thing.
That's definitely a thing. Tell me, but what led you to suspect that you had ADHD in the first place?
Someone told me. In fact, someone didn't tell me. Someone asked me when I was diagnosed. So it was a client who I saw yesterday, and every time I see her, I'm like, you've changed my life. I feel emotional when I see her because of what she's brought to my life. I'm alive. I can't even tell you where I was at the point before I started learning who I was. Trigger warning. I remember filling in a form for when I had to remortgage my house and just literally writing my name wrong on a legal document. And it was late at night that I realized that I'd written my name wrong. And I spiraled. And the self-loathing and the feelings of, you're so fucking shit. Look at you. You're 40, whatever I was at the time. You can't even fucking write your name right. And then, because of my hilariously catastrophic brain, in my head, it was like, you're going to go to fucking prison. Look what you've done. It's fraud. And oh, it was horrific. Spiral. And by the end of this night, I felt like I didn't deserve to be here. Why on earth? What was the point in me being here? You know? Now, several years on and knowing what I know, thanks to my client who had just been diagnosed herself. And so she was all like aware of everything as, you know, as it happens. She came into the salon. It was the first time I'd met her. I was with her for 1 hour. And in that time, we'd bounced off each other so much. We'd managed to follow each other's tangents so much. And she was saying about her diagnosis and blah, 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 blah. And she was talking about life. And I was going, oh my God, yeah. And then she was like, so when were you diagnosed? And I remember just being absolutely blank and being like, what do you mean? With what? And not getting it. And she was like, ADHD? And I was like, what? It was the weirdest thing because I didn't know. It was almost like, no, I'm not that. Because at that point, I honestly did just think I was just a shit human being who couldn't cope with life and couldn't be an adult. And I went away and listened to the ADHD adults, and then I listened to you. That's why you're so important in my life, and Sam as well. And I'm very, very lucky to have you both in my life now because of the way things have panned out, and I'm so grateful for that. I love it so much. But I started listening without telling anybody. So no one knew. I didn't tell my partner. I just kept it completely quiet. And I felt almost kind of weirdly ashamed of the fact that maybe there was this label for me. Literally everything that was being said started to feel a bit like a joke because it was like, what? This all makes sense. And then in ADHD adults, when Sam then came into it and got her autism diagnosis, and I was like, you're the one. Like, that totally makes sense. Yeah, where are we going from here? Lost train of thought. What?
No, I was absolutely loving it. I think one of the things that you said, sorry, I can't even speak. One of the things that you said that really hit home was like that experience that you shared with that form. Like, I've got a really similar experience that immediately sprung to my mind, which I've told so many times on the road and on the podcast, was about when I ended up on the streets of Bangkok without a penny to my name. And the thing about that situation that was really, really scary was, well, it was scary anyway, but was just like, I just couldn't begin to explain it to anybody because I didn't have the words to explain it myself. And that was really terrifying because I just stood there like, how could I do this? Who would do this? And I was like 35 years old, you know?
Why am I here? Why can I not do it? How has this happened? You know, I don't know about you, but I spent my whole life thinking how and why, but I couldn't work out where to go to find out how and why.
And all you fill that with is beration and self-loathing until you literally cannot keep your head up anymore.
Horrific. Yeah. Why? Yeah, why? Why am I here? Why can I not do it? How has this happened? Yeah. But it's funny because we would think that, and you know, I don't know about you, but I spent my whole life thinking how and why, but I couldn't work out where to go to find out how and why.
Gosh, it's like actually hurting my chest a bit. Let's move on.
I'm happy now, though. I'm happy now. Like, this is a thing.
Well, this is it. So this is a really interesting segue because the next question is, what has changed for you since identification?
Everything. My entire life, every single aspect of my entire life has changed. I don't feel flat. I understand when I'm dysregulated. I didn't know what that was. and I get really easily dysregulated all the time. And we can have times when I stand in the kitchen with Liam and suddenly I realize I'm crying and I don't know why. And now I know why. And I can even pinpoint what happened to make that happen. I understand why, what RSD is, and why I've spent so many times thinking that everybody hates me and that I'm an awful person and I don't, deserve X, Y, and Z. All of that has totally changed. I understand, although I still fucking hate it, why I talk over people. I understand that I don't have early onset dementia. Like, that was a mind blower. I understand that I have to do things differently, and that actually, in order for me to take a medication every day, it's got to be somewhere really random that apparently a neurotypical person wouldn't put it, or else I will not remember to take it. I understand why I ended up in debt. I understand why I couldn't make a relationship work. Like, there's so much understanding, and I now am genuinely a happy person. I have a healthy relationship with a wonderful partner. Like, I have 2 cats who I managed to keep alive. Like, let's go there. There's a lot of life going on at the moment. I think I berate myself a little bit less that I can't do things like fucking sort the fucking laundry out, and it's never going to end its way up in the wardrobe, and I'm going to really struggle with cleaning my teeth because it takes 85 years, filling up the car with petrol. Like, it's all that shit, isn't it?
Do you know what? Sorry, I have to tell you this because this is ridiculous, and it is. I'm trying really hard to stick to the original structure, but I haven't done one of these episodes for so fucking long, and all I want to do is chat. But like the brushing the teeth, right? I was telling. This is kind of sad, but it's also quite hilarious at the same time. So, obviously, anyone who listens to this podcast will know that I have been grieving my tits off since, well, just about this time last year, with preemptive grief and then properly from the end of January. And most of the time, I'm just getting on. I'm very here and now, and I have a fuck ton to do. So I just crack on and I go about my day, whatever. And randomly, it doesn't happen all the time, but the grief literally pours out of me unexpectedly when I brush my teeth. I stand to brush my teeth. I get my stuff I get the paste on the toothbrush. I put it in my mouth and I go, ah! And I howl, crying. Howl. What is that?
What the fuck?
And somebody said to me, is it because you're looking in the mirror? I'm like, no, I look in the mirror to put my makeup on. I look in the mirror to do my hair when I put an outfit on.
I look in the mirror when I'm cleaning my teeth. Yeah, I'm not looking anywhere near the mirror. Trust me, I'm just like, I'm everywhere.
Well, exactly. No, I'm not looking in the mirror. You're right. How bizarre is that? It's like it opens a portal to the grief, and the grief goes, we've got a minute. She's opened her mouth for an elongated moment of time. Bah! Yeah.
Do you reckon it's that that you've only got a maximum of 2 minutes? So it's like, you get that fucking grief out, you've got 2 minutes, then you are done.
All right, 5 years.
Then you pipe down with your grief.
Right, mouthwash, spit it out, off we go.
Done, I'm fine. Fucking hell.
Tits and teeth, teeth are clean. It's dark, isn't it? That's sort of hilarious.
Maybe it is literally a tits and teeth thing, though, because it is like you get yourself sorted out and you're like, right, I can do it now. It's gone. It's sorted. Teeth are cleaned. I'm good to go. Right. Go.
So bizarre, isn't it? Anyway, we have completely digressed. Do you know what? We'll stick here for a minute. We're at grief, so let's go there because it is something I wanted to talk to you about. So I know that you are no stranger to grief.
Yeah, both my parents, and in fact, my first experience of it was when I was 19 and lost my best friend to a brain tumour. It's been very cancery.
It's very interesting that you should say that because my life experience has and continues to be incredibly cancery. And I've lost so many friends now I can't even count. Is it 5? It could be 5. And my best friend is still... she's still going, God bless her, but she's very, very unwell and has been for years with stage 4 cancer. And I just think, and I want to be very respectful and very careful of what I say, because as I've said on this podcast many times, I am not a doctor, therapist or coach. I'm not trained or even emotionally equipped, etc., etc. It is not my place to cast aspersions or diagnose anybody alive or dead, because I'm not a psychiatrist. But I just think it is incredibly interesting that a lot of my very close friends have died very young with very serious cancer. I do think that is incredibly interesting.
Yeah, yeah, there is a thing. And I think there's a lot of, we're not that great at maybe looking after ourselves and noticing things and acknowledging things. Super great at worrying about it, but not acting on it, in my experience.
Yeah, so interoception issues, struggles with self-advocation, navigating a system.
Also, I go to the doctor. How do you feel? How do you feel? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I literally don't know. And I can't describe it. Oh, also, here's the thing. I've been to the doctor before now and got into the doctor's surgery and forgotten why I'm there. Like, legitimately.
Yeah, I would also say working memory. How long has something been there? Or has it always been like that? Or can't you remember?
And then I make something up because I'm like, well, I'm here. I feel I should say, do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's not great.
Do my arms look particularly long to you?
Fucking hell. But it's not good. I know with both my parents, my dad, with his situation, he was ill for about 18 months before he got his diagnosis. Oh, I'm going to be making statements now that you might be like, oh. Both my parents were massively failed by their doctors and by the NHS, unfortunately. Specific pockets thereof and specific hospitals, wards, whatever. I'm not slating the NHS. Okay, this is just this is what happened. With my dad, he had the same GP for 20 years. He was a chronic asthmatic. Had lots of doctor's appointments and was complaining about pain in his chest, but couldn't really describe it properly. For 18 months, they just kept giving him painkillers. He was then finally diagnosed with cancer of the esophagus, and 2.5 weeks later, he was dead. With my mum, she just kept kind of putting it off, didn't really do anything about it. As again, we've talked about the whole you just get on with it attitude of life. It was purely because she had blood tests that found that she was anemic, and they looked into why. She had a longer journey because they managed to get rid of it, came back, and then a whole thing happened. So it wasn't the cancer that got her in the end. In the end, it was actually a heart situation that was exacerbated by a clinical trial that she had to get rid of the cancer, which ironically got rid of the cancer. So really tricky relationships with all of that, because I'm left, which I know you're in a situation too, without wanting to speak for you, where I feel like they could still have had way longer than they had. That's a really fucked up thing to grieve.
Yeah, it is a really fucked up thing to grieve. And first of all, I'm just really, really sorry. And thank you for sharing that. Obviously, I did the episode that I dedicated to my mum when she passed this year, that ADHD and grief symptoms can exacerbate each other and also overlap. But also, I believe that our experience of grief, especially those of us that experience object impermanence with people, I think that makes grief such again, a massive generalization just shared through lived experience and discussions that I've had, such a more complex experience of grief. So nobody's saying they love their loved one more than you love your loved one, or they've had it harder than you. We don't do the tiny violins here. Grief sucks. We love people, they die. It's fucking awful, whatever your neurotype. But if you actually have a problem with memory, it is a particularly brutal thing to have to keep reliving and reliving.
And that is what happens.
Yeah. It's very sad that you experience similar in terms of care. I want to say that up until the point of January the 29th of this year, I have gone to great pains to always stress that it's not the NHS's fault, it's the government's fault. I'm not bashing the NHS. And I've done that for 3 years up to that point. I'm not going to start bashing the NHS now. I know plenty of amazing people that work for the NHS. I just feel I have to be very careful with what I say, and all will become clear one day. I will be able to talk about it properly. But I do feel that people who do not care about people should not be put in a profession in which that is literally their job. And that is all I can say through very gritted teeth. But I think much like you, I have had it confirmed that my mum absolutely should still be here. And that is, yeah, a particularly fucked up thing to have to grieve. Yeah.
It's like you're grieving what could have been as well as, you know, it plays with your mind a lot. And I know I've definitely had times, even, I mean, my mum went, 11 years ago now. And still I will have moments where I'll do something and I will genuinely forget she died and be wanting to tell my mum and then remember, and you go through it again. Like, that's a really difficult thing.
I do it a lot, like, and the worst thing is, and it's a very sad statement that plays through my head, and it's almost like I can hear myself saying it in my head, is I go, no, not my mum. That couldn't have happened to my mum. It's horrible. That's literally the words that go through my head.
I know. And I think also when you're looking at strong people and strong women and for then to that to happen, that's another thing for you to get your head round as that the child of that person, is like, well, how did that happen? How did she go from being that person to being that person? How did that happen so quickly? What? Why?
I do think that the black and white thinking element, the all or nothingness of how my ADHD presents in me and how a lot of us experience it adds another layer to it. Because on the one hand, I can sometimes very much be my mother's daughter, pull myself up by the bootstraps, and I can say, she was 78. That's longer than her mother lived. Death is part of life. All of us that live long enough will lose our parents. And this is a sad part of life, but you're just at another stage of your life now that you are officially very much an adult. And then on the other hand, my mum always believed that, and she would say this, and I think of her saying this now because she said it to me so often, because obviously I worry and get upset so often. My mum would always say, Laura, I spent a lot of my life worrying. I would lie awake at night worrying about how we were going to pay the bills, worrying about what was going to happen here or there, and just worrying about life. She said, but actually, everything always works out in the end. And if I could go back and tell myself something, it would be that, because it all works out in the end. And in those opposite end of the scale moments, I think, well, it fucking didn't, did it? And that makes me feel incredibly sad for her and her final moments, and very angry for her, is that this person who had this unwavering belief that it would all be all right, it really wasn't. And that is something that I'm really trying to work through in therapy, is that don't let that take that kind of optimism or hope away from me, because I try and lean back the other way and go, well, she was 78. These things happen, you know?
Do you know what, though? You're still in your first year of this happening. It is still so fresh. And these things are so different to other things. So it's not like, oh my God, I watched that film a year ago. That's ages. This is, I only lost this person a year ago and I'm still processing it. You still need to go through every single day once to get through that first time of going through each one of those days once. Every single event, and then as things progress, you will then still need to go through more things. But I've got to a stage now, 11 years old. It didn't take 11 years. I promise you it didn't take 11 years. But I've got to a stage now where I have those moments, and I do have those moments where I still massively miss my mum. But I have moments where I can miss her and I can sway it into remembering why I miss her and then bringing back that kind of love, warmth, fondness, Yeah, just, do you know what I mean? And so it does start to shift. Like I promise you it does start to shift. But you got to live it.
I think it's funny because this time last year, I mean, we've totally sidetracked here. This time last year, Big and I had hit the road, and instead of, skipping off into the sunset in a giant van, we ended up in the Fernie House Hotel on Blackpool Promenade. But it was a very hellish couple of months with Mum in hospital whilst we fought tooth and nail for answers and support. So it's like now at this moment, I'm kind of reliving those days. I find myself really wanting to be in London and in this house so much. Like, I go out and I do things. I'm always traveling with work, with whatever, but I'm so relieved. It's like the train pulls into the platform in London, or I see the London skyline and I feel genuine relief. And I think it's because this is my anchor. This is my feet on the ground. This is where I start to rebuild my life. So it's like, yeah, there's such a safety in this house, because this time last year, not only did I not have one, my world was literally falling apart. Anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you, sunshine.
No, it's about us. It's about us. Shut up.
I think it's really funny. We're both sat here in leopard print and a load of ADHDF Emporium merch.
I'm flogging the shit, babes. Can we just do a little shout out to the old Emporium? Because I was looking at my Christmas shopping last night and creating a little list at the Emporium. And it's so varied, the stuff that's on there now. I love it.
It's really good. Stephanie has been working so hard. I will not take the credit. I made the contacts, I made the idea, the concept, some of the branding, but really it's Steph that's working her bollocks off behind the scenes, getting more people in. She has the stock, she posts the stock. She's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all of your support with that, because it's not, let's be honest, it isn't exactly a brilliant business model if you wanted to line your pocket. It's other people's stuff. So we only get a percentage of that, and then 10% of that goes to the charity. So we make fuck all. It's a labour of love, but we believe in what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But maybe that's why I'm drawn to it, because I'm like, I make shit or money doing what I love as well. This is great. This is why we're drawn together.
But no, we've got Christmas cards,
Gorgeous candles.
got all sorts, presents big and small. We've got the digital download of the Christmas show. You'll have to have a look at that one as well.
I love me a digital download that I buy and then forget I've got.
Yeah, that old chestnut. But yeah, I just think it's hilarious because we're actually sat here in these like open neck leopard print things with Emporium merch on and brunette waves and headphones. We've basically come as each other. We
Basically twins.
If only I hadn't shaved my beard off, we'd be totally twinning.
Jesus Christ. Right, where were we? What were we talking about?
Right, I did want to try and turn this griefiness into a positive. Obviously, Christmas is coming. The episode after this is really focusing on Christmas because, as I said, I did a Christmas tour a couple of years ago, and ADHD and Christmas is something I'm very, very passionate about. So next month's peer support groups are all about, it's called ADHD Christmas SOS, and I revisit the categories of the Christmas tour, and one of them is grief. So how do you cope with that? I call it ghosts of Christmas past, right? We all know. How do we cope?
Right. Christmas for me is something that I've had to really, what's the word I'm looking for? I have to totally change it in my head of what Christmas is. Okay? Because normally when you're in a relationship, you tend to take it in turns to go to one person's family and then the other person's family. And then, one family has this tradition and the other family has that tradition. I don't have that, which means I'm always felt for years that I was going into somebody else's Christmas. So what I did to get through Christmas for the longest time was cook the fucking dinner, because it meant that I could hide for 7 hours in a kitchen and be away from everyone. And that was the autism thing, which I had no idea about at the time. But hey, here we are.
Surprised!
But obviously, because I've got ADHD, cooking a fucking Christmas dinner for 14 people, that's not simple either, is it? So there was quite a level of stress. And it did take 7 hours. However, I do a bang-in roast. It just is a horrific experience to go through. But that would be what I would do. That would be how I would get through Christmas, would be to just go along with it. And I think with the whole people pleasing that naturally happens, for me, is that I'd be like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do your Christmas. That's fine. Of course we will. Of course we will. And your traditions and yada, yada, yada. I'll cook and let me do it. Now things have slightly changed, for both myself and Liam, because we've learned who we are, what we're saying yes to because we feel we should say yes to, and actually what makes us feel okay. So one thing that I've learned is that I've spent years not knowing what my traditions are. And I've now realized I can start to make traditions with my partner. And so last year we did our first year of making our tradition for us. Now that tradition for us is really fucking tiny and basic because we don't need anything mega. We've realized that as well. It's great. What we need is to spend Christmas Eve together at home. And then we like to wake up together in our home with the cats on Christmas morning, where we both, shockingly enough, produce a giant Lego set for each other because that's our thing, and do our stockings and have that at home. We then go on and we do Liam's family stuff, and they're wonderful. I love them. Like, they are gorgeous, gorgeous people. But we do that. And then our next bit is we have Boxing Day. So we will bookend. And I also think that a big thing is that I kind of just distract. That was another thing that would happen with the Christmas dinner, is that I would try and make myself as busy as possible, because then it's like no room in my brain to think about why I'm not having my own Christmas. And then as time goes on, I guess I've allowed it to creep into my brain to think about what do I want and what am I happy with. And also with any relationship, you know, there's compromise anyway, so that's fine. So I want him to be happy and I want him to see his family. So this is, you know, it works. But I don't know, what you've got, this is Christmas number 1 for you.
Well, wait for it. I don't think I've told you this. So Big's got this new job. He's actually away for Christmas.
Shut up.
So it's my first Christmas without my mum, and I don't have Big either.
Laura!
I know, actually, you can get the violins out.
Fucking hell.
It's horrific. Yeah, it's really horrific. Life is dealing me some blows. I'm not going to lie.
What are you going to do?
Well, this in itself has been a whole saga. I have spent weeks trying to decide, and I mean, obsessively thinking about it in any waking moment, to the point that I actually forget that Big's home for a whole month before he goes on the 17th of December. So yeah, so we've got all sorts of lovely things booked, but I nearly decided to cancel Christmas and spend it alone and volunteer and go to St. Paul's just because I could. And I was almost all the way down the road with that, thinking I was a big, brave girl and Mum would be so proud. I've been invited to loads of places. And
Best thing, you talk about distraction.
yes, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And only let it out when you got to brush them pegs. If that's not another excuse not to brush your teeth.
Get them twice a day, 2 minutes of grief, even on Christmas. That's ample, thank you.
I shared it on social media today. On social media, so I'm like, how old am I? I shared it on Instagram today.
I fucking hate social media.
Oh, I know. It's this very evil bane of my existence. But I saw this woman's thing today. I've actually forgotten what she's called. Dimple Stiltskin. She's Irish. She's fucking hilarious. She did this whole skit about pretending that her mum was at Lidl. She's like, this grief shit really isn't working out for me anymore. I've decided she's in the middle aisle at Lidl buying a canoe and a potato peeler. So that's where she is. She's in Lidl.
So down with that. She's coming in with an inflatable kayak, some salopettes, and a spice mix. Yeah, I fucking love the middle aisle. Oh, don't you think the middle aisle is made for our brains? Oh,
it's the neurodivergent aisle, 100%. Oh, look, and this. Fondue set.
Beer flavoured crisps. What?
I love it. Right, let's get back on track. Let's go back. We've talked about some really heavy stuff.
Do you want to do some more?
I'll do one more. Heavy stuff because at least you and I, we always come back up for air with a laugh. So let's go with it.
But also, we're here. Why not?
So in your episode of AuDHD, or Just a Bit Weird, with James Brown recently, you covered a topic which is unfortunately very close to my heart, and is one of the many reasons why I respect James Brown so much. You talked about the relationship with ADHD and eating disorders, and I think it's a particularly important topic to kind of delve into a little bit here now, because obviously Christmas time is all about eating and drinking and having to eat in other people's houses and etc etc. So
Yeah, I have had disordered eating in my life because I also feel like this is for me. I can only talk about myself. Okay. And people that are close to me that I know this is the same for them as well. I'm not saying that everybody, this is how it's going to be for you. Okay. Um, it will always be my life. I cannot see a time. I'm 48 years old now. This has been a part of my life. The earliest time I can remember is 7. So that's 41 years in now. So I can't see that there won't be a time when I'm totally cool with food. What I can see is hopefully a time when, which I'm getting closer to, when I can celebrate, as I talked about with James, when I can celebrate the little wins instead. And I think that's the really important thing to look at when we talk about this subject, is where it's such a big thing, we break it down to looking at the little part and going, oh, I've done this. For me, disordered eating started, which actually looking back now probably stemmed from a more autistic trait that I have, where I was just massively overwhelmed by the dinner hall. So I would hide and I wouldn't go into the lunch hall. And with that many children, it was a fucking massive state school situation. I could hide. And then the other thing is that I was given a very stereotypical lunch. This is your lunch, and this is what all the other children have, and so this is what you will have. And I couldn't eat the things that I was given as well, and it didn't, and I couldn't work out why. Now I know why. So the list, every list that you could have. So it was sensory. My God, if anyone dared to put anything new in there, that was just like, what the fuck? Like it didn't work. Flavor. I have a brother, so it was very much, well, you have both the same. Like it was my mum was going to make 2 of the same lunches. I wasn't going to be having the same things that he was having if I'd chosen. So there were all these different sensory things being thrown at me and I couldn't cope. So I'd hide and I would hide the food. And so I wouldn't be able to throw it away. And this is where this kind of relationship started to stem from. And with guilt feelings then thrown into that one, because of a CG. So to be under 10 years old and starting to get that, that is when foundations are being made for life and how that goes. We then skip forward. My parents discovered Sandwichgate, where they discovered a stash of food, which I hadn't thrown away, which obviously by that point was quite obvious because you can smell it. This is really throwing everything out there. And so they were like, well, if you didn't like the sandwiches, you should have said school dinners. What the fuck? That was even worse. Because then you really have no say in what you're having. Plus, you're having to queue up to get it. You're then having these people walking around, watching over you, saying, finish everything, you need to eat everything. So then you're getting layers of trauma in with it as well. At the same time, when I would go home, I would eat everything in sight. And so what I didn't realize is that I was then putting in this foundation of binge eating disorder. So at that point, I started to gain weight. And unfortunately, children are very horrible, as are siblings. And my weight would be pointed out to me. I also remember, oh my God, I was thinking about it the other day, randomly popped into my head. And here's the thing, randomly popped into my head because I'm now getting my tattoos done in the same town that I would have bought my school uniform in years ago. My mum would have bought my school uniform in years ago. Really, really random. And I saw the shop that we went to, which is still there. And I remember being measured for trousers after my brother had been measured for his. And he is naturally tall and skinny. He very much had my dad's frame. I've got my mum's frame, which is slightly vertically challenged, and a bit of junk in my trunk. And I remember this guy saying, oh, goodness me, because you've got quite a tummy on you, we're going to have to go to a bigger size. So at that point, on top of these sensory things, I'm then starting to get the message that I'm also overweight. What the fuck? So basically later on in life, to go really, really long story, really, really short, stop off at kind of like a couple of bits of trauma and hilarity like that and school bullying. And I ended up not wanting to be fat, not being able to stop the binging. So we know where that leads to. So for the longest time, it was bulimia. And then sometimes I would withhold completely from eating. And because I couldn't stop, and this is how I've learned I am, and how a lot of people are, sadly, is that we are all or nothing. And so if I couldn't get out of this binge and purge cycle, so I was like, well, just don't eat then. So then I just didn't eat, and it does become obvious after a while when you don't. I then have had times when I've managed to even things out a lot. Sadly, that was when I smoked heavily. So it would again be swapping out one thing for something else, and smoking weed, which I did for many, many years. I'm not condoning. I'm also not judging on the whole weed thing. People do whatever you need to do. And then I stopped, and then I gained a fuck ton of weight. So then I discovered intermittent fasting, because that was cool. And then that had then sadly turned back into binge eating disorder. I've learned so much about neurodivergence over the last years. This is, and I've said this before, this is the one good thing that I've had about being in the most fucked up waiting list for 3.5 years, is that for me, I've educated myself and I've found out stuff, and it's become this thing. And I think without that 3.5 year wait, this is the only positive, I wouldn't have found out the information that I've got. So I'm now in a point where I am trying to do things sensibly. I'm also aware of the fact that when I say sensibly, I mean being aware of what's going on. So if I have a day when I don't stop off at the Sainsbury's on the way home and buy 85 things and secret eat in the car, and then get home and have to not let anyone know that I've secret eaten in the car, and so therefore I'm going to have dinner on top of that. If I can have a day when I manage to go past Sainsbury's, I'm like, yeah, cool.
I am so incredibly grateful to you for sharing all of that, because almost word for word, that, apart from the smoking, that is pretty much my experience. When I heard you talking about it on the podcast, I was like, and I felt very, it was very confronting to listen to. Hang on, let me think about what I'm trying to say for a minute. I think it was.
I'm sorry if it triggered you.
No, it didn't trigger me. No, it didn't trigger me at all. I was in absolute awe and very grateful and applauding. It's almost word for word my exact experience. And I remember I went to the dinner hall, and I've never been a fussy eater, actually. I eat pretty much anything. But at that time, one of the very few things that I wouldn't eat was custard. And we had this like treacle tart or something like that, and it had a huge dollop of really congealed, very hot, bright yellow 80s custard. I remember she slopped it on, and it was like bubbling and like on the cake or congealed, and it looked and to me kind of smelt like vom. So I was like, that's a bowl of sick. Like, I can't eat that.
Oh, don't. I'm picturing it. Oh, mate.
And basically, they wouldn't let anybody go out into the playground until I'd eaten it. And I didn't eat it. I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And everyone was pissed off with me because they wanted to go outside. Just fucking eat it. It's only custard. And I was like,
But what trauma levels are you then putting on children?
I assume they don't do that anymore. I hope they don't do that anymore.
I'd really like to think they don't. I don't have children. I wouldn't know. I'd like to think that doesn't happen, and we can be a little bit more aware of what we're doing to people.
And then the other one, when you talked about getting measured for the uniform, I had a doctor who everything was, just hop on the scales, Poppet. Just hop on the scales. And so I'd get weighed all the time. And I'm very tall for a girl. I always was. And I had my growth spurt early. So I'm 5'8". I think I was 5'8" since I was 12. And so I was just like this big, looming, gigantic person is how I felt, and then the weight and the shame and the hiding and the cycle. I've done everything. Genuinely, I have. I've had hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, CBT. I've done absolutely everything over the years. I mean, hypnotherapy is the funniest because I didn't realize quite how deaf I am. So it just didn't work because I couldn't fucking hear the guy, to be perfectly honest with you. It was whispering.
Did nothing for me. I've tried it as well. It didn't do anything anyway. Oh, and I really wanted it to. Really desperately. I was the person who was lying there going, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Did shit all.
And I honestly think that an element of it is perfectionism. When you were talking about something that you said that triggered it in my mind, and quite a lot of the time is that all or nothingness of, well, I've had a piece of somebody else's chocolate now, so I might as well go and have a giant bar of my own.
Eat Sainsbury's.
Yeah, eat Sainsbury's, and then it trickles into something else, which is, this one's the maddest one that I still battle on a daily basis, is, wait for this, for some crazy thinking. And please remember, we are sharing this to validate anybody whose experiences are similar, right? I will be like, well, there's no point in doing a workout today because I had a massive takeaway last night and some chocolate. So it would be wasted. In what universe does that make sense? I can sit logically and go, that makes no sense.
But it doesn't matter. Like, this is what our brains do, and it's fucked up. And it's still, we hurt ourselves. Still, we punish ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. And the shame, and I remember when I got to about, I think I was 17. I was 17 years old, and I remember thinking to myself, right, I'm 17 now. I'm going to stop doing this. This is what kids do. This is what teenagers do. I'm going to stop this binge, purge, restrict cycle. And I am 42 now. And I have a handle on it most of the time, she says. But it's interesting because when I have spoken about it before, I've said to people, the thing is, I think I have this built-in defense mechanism where I can't remember if the last time I did that was yesterday or last week. But actually now I know why I can't remember. It's because of how ADHD presents in me. I have, and this is the final point I'll say on it, I have noticed that it tends to be when I am premenstrual. And that would be, as we know, those hormonal fluctuations exacerbating our ADHD symptoms. So your impulsivity is higher, etc. I'm very much with you and James in that camp.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you are in our camp, but you have the support from us being in the camp.
Oh, thank you very much. And you know what I would say? We are in some shit clubs, you and I, mate. We are in the eating disorder club. We're in the dead mum club. I'll eventually join you in the other club as well.
Mate, you wait till you become an orphan. I get every role in Oliver now. It's great.
Well, we've got Oliver and Bambi, right? Oliver and Bambi. But we're also in two really fucking amazing clubs. So we're in this late discovered club, and we're also in this podcasting, ranting about what we've discovered club. And I'm really so grateful to be in both of those clubs with you. And I'm honestly so happy that we connected this year. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for all of your support in everything.
I'm so happy because you were that person who just said yes. And that is one of the most amazing qualities about you, is that you just say, yeah. You know, you're so passionate about things. You want everyone to know, you know, and you are changing the world and you are doing amazing things. And
So are you.
I'm baby version.
We're passing the baton along. It was James that came on this podcast when we were nothing and nobody with no followers, just two people in a box room in North East Scotland. And he said yes. And we have to keep passing that on because, you know, I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean to be shady or say anything underhand. Like, my naivety led me to believe that I would link up all, you know, ADHD influencers, podcasters, etc. I really thought that we were all facing in the same direction, that we'd all link up and en masse we would change the system. And actually, turns out some of us have different priorities. So it's really wonderful that at least some of us have the same priorities. Yeah.
Yeah, take them down. We do, and I love that. It makes me very, very happy. And I do feel for the first time in my life part of something and part of a community and finally have found people that I can relate to properly with being me. And that's the most amazing thing that anyone, I think, can get, is to feel a part of something, feel safe.
100%. And it's mad, really, to think, because isolation is the number one, that's why I made Alien Nation. And I think particularly at this time of year, isolation is rife. But it's like these internal stories that we tell ourselves that we are the only one, we're the only fuck up, everyone else is doing all right, and it's so toxic, and it's so completely untrue. Like, no two people are the same, but so many of us have experienced similar. So you are really, even the ordeal that I've been through that is still going on with Mum, even that, I'm not isolated in that. There are other people out there on forums, etc., that have experienced similar, and you've even shared a similar experience yourself. So never, ever, ever let those really shit daydreams tell you. It'll tell you all sorts, and telling me all sorts. Since Mercury's been in the microwave this last fucking week, I've never had RSD like it.
Same. No sleep and can't cope. Yeah, RSD a go-go.
I literally was myself several years ago this week. It's been horrendous. But whatever it's telling you, never, ever let it tell you that you're alone, because that one you can absolutely know is a really shit daydream. You are not alone, ever, 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 ever. Right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you the big question, which is the number one reason that I wanted to do this podcast in the first place, which was some subtle activism, because I didn't realise that I could get away with not being subtle. You've got a magic wand. You're going to change a system. How are we doing it? Tell me.
Test everybody at Childhood.
And for the people on the waiting list, the 500,000?
Right, here's my thing. This is what I want to do, and it's not going to be a magic wand. You have your thing of you went to Parliament, you're doing all the amazing stuff that you're doing peer support. I want to change the way they do it. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to get into this, but that's my thing. The process, the forms, how antiquated it is, how they're focused on small white male children.
How you need proof?
Yeah. I feel so traumatized going through the process that to me, it would be to change all of that, every single aspect of how it's done. From the conversations that I had with you, from the people that you speak to, from the emails you receive, from the format of the emails that you receive. What the fuck? I've got ADHD. You send me a massive email with 2 tiny links hidden in them somewhere, and I'm meant to find them and then click on them and then complete the forms that annihilate every single characteristic about myself that I hate. It's not good. We need to get to a point where the system is different. It is quicker. That actually, to me, it is the fact that, and I've talked about this in the podcast, that GPs can diagnose you with anxiety and depression. They can then prescribe you medication for anxiety and depression. These medications can stay in your systems for weeks and weeks and weeks. They can have horrific side effects that will take ages to come out of your system. The side effects of some of those medications can be suicidal ideation, horrific, yet they cannot diagnose you by looking at the many fucking forms which we've had to fill in and say, you're right, you do have ADHD, and prescribe you a medication which could be in effect out of your system in a 4-hour period.
Different set of questions, different pot of pills, right? Do you agree that you think that in a GP situation, if I came in and said, I'm experiencing X, Y, and Z in the similar way that they would diagnose anxiety or depression, they would say, I think you've got ADHD, let's try you on this. Yeah?
Yeah, let's try you on this little pill that could be out of your system in 4 hours. The amount of times, even in the process of going through the last 3.5 years, when I've gone in saying, I'm struggling, how can I speed up the process? I don't know what to do. They've gone, have some anti-anxiety medication. I'm not feeling anxious. That won't help me. I'm feeling really fucking at my wit's end because I just need to be able to do things, and you're not offered anything that is specific to ADHD until you've got that thing. So yeah.
I honestly think there are 6 screening questions. That's what I would do. I would be like, anybody who is going into a GP surgery presenting with anything that could potentially be a commonly co-occurring condition of ADHD, insomnia, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, alcoholism, substance misuse, any of these things, on top of all of the things like procrastination, all of the actual ADHD symptoms, but even people that are going in for commonly co-occurring conditions, you ask them the 6 screening questions, and at least at that point, and give them information about ADHD and signpost them to peer support groups. If we were going to be that simple, I would go a step further and try them on medication. Obviously, do the heart rate monitor, do everything else, and if they are safe to do so, you try them on the medication. And for all the people that are on waiting lists, honest God, we managed to set up that hospital during COVID times, like Blink, and there was a hospital in London. Like, put them there. Take them to driving school centres, put them in classrooms, and blanket screen people. Because we have shown in those unprecedented times that we can act very quickly and change and be adaptable very quickly. Well, this is a time of emergency. There are 500,000 people on waiting lists, and those are the people that even got through before. As the BBC report has shown, 31 areas have tightened the criteria, and 15 have closed their waiting lists altogether. So there are plenty that don't make it that far, and those lives are in danger.
That's the big thing. Out of those people, how many are still when they finally get to the end? Also, how many people give up on the process because they can't cope with it because it is too traumatic?
Can't even get there. They can't even get there. But yes, it's absolutely horrendous. So I love it. I love your suggestions. We will change the world. We just need to get a few people on board with us. But I believe we'll do it. I believe we'll do it, Jon.
I do! Genuinely.
And that's why we're here, is because despite it all, we still have this unwavering optimism. And justice sensitivity through the roof, yeah.
Oh yeah. As we wade through the shit.
What song best describes your ADHD? You can have 2 because you're ADHD.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. But now I've got to make 2 decisions and I can't make decisions, so that's tricky. Okay, well, because I'm also autistic, the song that describes my ADHD is literally ADHD and Me by Mariah, who I had on the podcast. Because the lyrics of that song literally break down every single sentence. So I'm doing an episode where I'm breaking down why that song means so much to me, because I related so much to the different lines in it.
Can I also interject and say that song is also the theme tune, or I don't think theme tune's the right word, the accompaniment.
The accompanying promotional music.
Of the big ADHD fundraiser 2026. So we're very grateful for that with our Dazza.
Yeah, with Dazza.
And there's so much to come on that. I can't wait to share more about that in the new year. But yes, carry on. So that's your ADHD.
About autism. Fuck knows. All by myself. Instead of don't want to be, I want to be.
It's so good. Oh my God, I'm going to make you sing that at karaoke one day.
Can I change the lyrics though to I want to be all by myself, darling?
Forevermore.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. Right, come on, last one. What is the most ADHD or ADHD thing you've done this week? Or autistic? You can have 3 if you like.
Thinking that on the way home and I forgot what I was thinking. Fuck. Hang on. I know, which is weirdly ADHD, isn't it? Who knew?
Who knew? I literally forgot to put in the most ADHD thing of August in the August episode, but I'll put it in the next one.
Stunning. Stunning. I mean, we're pretty fucking poster child, aren't we, realistically?
Oh God, always on brand. Always. Always.
So many things. God, I don't know. I mean, I've been focusing because, on my podcast, I do the opposite of yours. I do my little wins.
Well, no, I I was going to ask you that as well. But yeah, go on, share a little win if you like.
Literally, I remember to take the laundry out of the washing machine. Like I did it.
Well done. I've just looked at my washing machine to see if I did it. I did actually do it, but I forgot that I did it.
Did you see? That's such a big one to me because the amount of fucking clothes, I'm like, ah, again.
And you have to redo it again.
Yeah, again. And then you get to the point where they don't even get like, oh, just it's horrific. And the other day I managed to literally, it went beep. I got up out of my seat and took the laundry out of the washing machine and hung it up. And I don't think that's ever like, it was like, oh. But then when I do that, I'm like, I'm cured.
Oh, take me off the waiting list, guys. I've got it covered now.
Yeah, someone else can have that. It's fine. Look, I hung up the laundry. We're fine. No, do you know what? No, my most ADHD thing has been the huge level of RSD that I've had for literally the last week. Just shy of a week.
But isn't it weird that I have too? And that there's moony shit going on.
Yeah, same. You know that. I fucking sent you a voice note about it.
Mine has literally been like, everybody hates me. I'm not now, but I was absolutely convinced everybody I know hates me for some reason or another. I'm a massive burden to everyone. I'm a pain in the ass, all of that stuff.
I adore you. I think you're wonderful. You're amazing.
Well, likewise, what happened to you? How did you get out of it and what happened?
My friend didn't message me back. So I was like, of course they didn't fucking message me back. Why would they?
I've got one of those at the moment. I'm still battling with that. And every time I'm like, I can literally see how busy they are. And I forget to message people back all the time.
Yeah, I hate it. So insane. And then I had a situation with someone's roots at work where it didn't cover all of their grey.
You are a terrible human being for that. Absolutely.
That was obviously personally my fault. We internalize it so much.
I think it's because it's the historical element of it. It would be really interesting to know people that are diagnosed in childhood, what their level of RSD is compared to those who have discovered later in life. Because we've already got those neural pathways like burnt into our brains that like it's very easy to go to that place. Those 20,000 extra negative things.
Yeah, fuck. Oh.
Do you have any RSD hacks?
No, I'm really shit with it. Nothing. My friend messaged me back and I thought, oh no, he does like me. Do you know what I mean? And then I knew why. I knew, all I can do, it isn't even a hack. You just get through it. Like time does move on. And so actually, although we live in the moment and it's so difficult for us to see anything past that at that moment when that attacks and when those really shit daydreams are fucking screaming and the only thing that you can think about, it feels like it's going on forever. But 5 minutes later, you might get a message from that mate who goes, sorry, didn't message back, was really busy.
Very cliche, but very true. Okay, right. I'm going to wrap it up now. We're like Mariah. I guess this is my phrase of the year is I've done enough. In that interview where she talks about Katy Perry going to space, like, you want to go to space? She's like, I think I've done enough. That is literally how I feel about everything.
I love that so much. And also when I look at you, I do see quite hints of Mariah Carey, obviously.
Obviously. Mariah Carey Unplugged is probably one of my favourite albums of all time. I accidentally put it on in the car once with Big and he didn't even realise that I would attempt to sing like Mariah Carey because obviously you've heard me speak. I don't sing like Mariah Carey, but with that album I give it a bloody good go.
Oh, I can pitch you doing the whistle register. It'd be stunning.
I actually can hit that note. I actually can.
Stop.
It doesn't sound nice, but of course I can.
You could break glasses, babe.
My voice is like several octaves higher than the average person. Of course I can hit that. On that note, we are going to love you and leave you. You have to go and listen to AuDHD or Just a Bit Weird. If you haven't already, you really should. I've bulldozed my way onto that podcast many times and I hope I'll come back many more and I hope you'll come back on this one many more.
Oh, God, yeah. Of course. I wouldn't cope without you.
Thank you for everything. Is there anything that you would like to share? Any final pearls of wisdom or anything at all that you would like the listeners to know?
Just everything that we've already said, like, you aren't on your own. I promise you. I promise you, promise you, promise you. And time does move on. I know it doesn't feel like it because of the way we live, but it does. And all wear leopard print and buy your Christmas presents to the ADHD AF Emporium.
You are such a legend. Love you. Thank you so much. Honestly, love the bones of that one. I really, really, truly do. I cannot recommend listening to AuDHD or Just a Bit Weird enough. I have loved being on it. Do go and have a listen if you haven't already. Please go and follow Jon's work at AuDHD or Just a Bit Weird. As I said before, we spoke for so long. We realised we've got another massive episode in us. So that will be coming in the new year and I cannot wait to share it with you. As a final note, I would just like to remind everybody, please do support neurodivergent makers this Christmas and shop at ADHD AF Emporium. We have all sorts of gifts, from jewellery to mugs to stationery to toiletries to accessories, all sorts of incredible creations. And not only will you be shopping small, supporting neurodivergent makers, 10% of all profits also go to fund the charity support groups all over Scotland, England, and soon to be Wales. And we have got incredible feedback from all of those groups, the charity, of course, which was inspired by this very podcast. So head to the show notes, check out ADHDF Emporium and click the link and sign up to email reminders for your local ADHD AF Plus charity support group. Thank you again to Jon. Thank you so, so much for listening. If you're experiencing grief or any of the topics that we discussed in this episode, lo siento. You are not alone, ever. I would be so grateful if you would hit those stars, write a review, or share this episode or any of the social media posts about it. It expands our reach, which means that other people exactly like us can learn that they are not alone in their struggles and can be signposted to support. Thank you so much. Liberal